Hey, everybody, welcome back to Pop Culture Warrior. I am your host, CQ, and with me tonight, oh, goodness. I'm so very excited. You guys know that I'm easily excitable, but I'm really excited for this one. My guest tonight is a wonderful actress who is a legit triple threat of stage, TV, and film. And that doesn't account for her writing pedigree as well. She might best be known for her role as Julie on Friends, that she captured the attention of the fans worldwide. But I can guarantee you she's so much more than that. With nearly 40 years in the business and just about 200 credits to her name, she's done just about it all, including voicing some of our all-time favorite characters from King of the Hill, Batman Beyond, Teen Titans, Futurama, and so many more. Guys, it is with great appreciation for her time I'm welcoming, please everybody give a warm welcome to Laruen Tom. Yay! Hold on.
Hello, everyone.
I have applause. There you go.
Awesome.
There you go. You should. That's the crowd cheering for you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be on Pop Culture Warrior.
Oh, it's my pleasure and honor to be here, CQ. And can I just say right away, since I know that a lot of your audience are veterans, thank you for your service to you and to everyone listening right now. I feel like we Americans do not thank our veterans enough. We just can't thank them enough.
Oh, well.
And
on behalf of the audience, I thank you for appreciating us and goodness. And we always, it's always an uncomfortable thing. Like, thank you. I don't need thanks, but okay, thanks. So we're just going to move past that. We're going to move past that. We appreciate it. And before we really get into it, I want to one more time plug the fact that, you're coming on here of your own time and free will, and that you asked to talk about the fundraiser you're doing for Homeboy Industries. For those that are just tuning in, Homeboy Industries is the largest gang rehabilitation and re-entry program in the world. It's been doing it for over 30 years. They've stood as a beacon of hope in Los Angeles to provide training and support to formerly gang-involved and previously incarcerated people, allowing them to redirect their lives and become contributing members of the community. Guys, we put in the chat, you can find it pinned. It's a link. It's to Lauren's fundraiser that she's doing right now, which is doing incredibly well, and we want to help get it even further. I told my listeners earlier that, obviously you kind of have a thing where, if you donate, I think it's $60, they get a signed thing, which is awesome. And I saw the Ghost of Tsushima one for 100, and I'm going to. We'll talk after that. I'm gonna pitch in for that because I think that's awesome. But I told the audience that whoever donates and donates the most during tonight, send me proof. I will send them a very, very lovely. You can see I have a lot of doodads and knickknacks and awesome things, and I love making prize boxes and giveaways for my audience. So this is an awesome opportunity. I was just thinking earlier today, man. Like I'm in the mood to give something away. So I have some really cool prizes that I want to box up and ship to somebody. Whoever donates the most money tonight will get a lovely prize box from me. So that's for me. Do you want to say anything about the organization?
Yes, and I'm going to throw in a signed photo of the person's choice. So you can see it when you click on the link. You'll see all the different photos I have available, and you just pick which one, and I'm going to throw that in too. And even if the highest donator is only $30 or whatever, whoever does that is going to get this big, huge prize from CQ and I.
Yes, absolutely,
so,
absolutely. Oh,
it makes it more fun.
We can do better than 30. But okay. Yeah, I got you. So let's see. First off, can you say hi to Maria? Because she's been hanging around and just really excited for you to come on. She's a big number 3 fan.
Oh my gosh. Hi, Maria. Do you like rainbow monkeys as much as I do? Thank you so much for joining us.
There you go.
Sorry, I blew out.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely fine. My earphone just fell out. Had nothing to do with you. But there you go, Maria. Yeah, she's awesome. She's been in the chats for like, when's Lauren coming on? Like, stop talking about all this other stuff.
Joining us.
So that's that. So everybody that knows, that tunes in and sees all these interviews I do, first question always out the gate is, what is your connection to the military?
Yes. So my very favorite uncle, James T. Dare, He was a lieutenant colonel in the Army. He fought in Vietnam. I can't really even talk about it because it makes me choke up. Sure. But he rose to the highest rank of any Asian soldier ever to that point. And I don't know about the history since then, but I was so proud of him. And just like you, extremely humble, like, didn't want people to be, putting him up as a hero, but he just had such a great sense of humor. And, he made it through all of that battle. And then he came home and unfortunately he passed away of a heart attack, really young, like 53. That's too young. Wow. So I really miss him. And so I try to honor him as much as I can. And so when I got this request from you and saw like who you are and who like what you're trying to do in the world, was to just try to lift people up.
Absolutely.
I thought, well, yeah, I'm in.
I'm honored and touched. Obviously that's an incredible service. My generation of warfighters really revere and look up to those guys, that the Vietnam guys, the Korean War guys, the people that didn't get the attaboys that we're getting, and those are our heroes. So just so you know, so your uncle is definitely one of them. Correct me if I'm wrong. I did my research. Doesn't your uncle have like a statue or something honoring him in your hometown?
That's my other uncle.
That's your other uncle. Okay, I got my wires crossed.
Never do research. That's my uncle on my father's side, who was a huge, like a kind of like a in the community. He did so much good that they made a park called Ping Tom Park in Chicago.
That's awesome.
But so I kind of come from a long line of activists, and so it makes me very proud.
Absolutely. And you're continuing on the tradition. I see. It's very easy to see the amount of effort you put into charitable efforts, fundraisers, and doing things with your platform that maybe you don't need to. It's not something that like you have to when you have this platform that you have to give back, but you take the time to do it, and I see that you do it very well.
You know what, CQ? It's kind of selfish to be real honest with you, because I get so much joy out of doing this. That's why I keep doing it. It's sort of like that saying about whenever you're really depressed or blue, the best thing you can do is just do something for someone else, even if it's really small. Because it's a way of getting out of yourself and being able to kind of contribute to the world. I feel like that's what we're all here for.
Oh man, it's so. I'm sorry, I'm so touched. It's so crazy to me because obviously we've never talked before today, but something that I do try to mentor veterans in my community and different things. And one of the things we always talk about is when you're isolated, when you're depressed, when you feel like you're stuck in this bubble or this rut, the best thing you can do is be giving of yourself. Give outside of yourself. Homeless shelter.
That's correct.
Habitat for Humanity. Take a painting class. I don't know. Just anything to get you out of that. So it's so great to hear you say that.
1,000%. And I wanted to just mention, I don't know if this will be interesting, to your listeners, but I think it was in the Washington Post. I just read an article about a lot of success that psychologists are having with people who have PTSD trauma with virtual reality therapy. Oh my gosh, that's mind blowing to me, because I have two boys that are 17 and 20, and they love. We bought them one, and they just are in that a lot. And it made a lot of sense to me. If you can go back and heal that. Go back in time and kind of like they can help recreate what happened and then heal it from that place.
Oh yeah,
there's really exciting to me.
There's incredible strides in that whole kind of sector of healing and looking at it's like there's immersion therapy as one thing. There's actual reliving of the events where they can program. If let's say you were in an IED in a vehicle, they reprogram. You're sitting back in that vehicle and you can replay that moment and get through the trauma of it. Yeah, there's incredible things that they're doing in the space.
That's great.
It's really cool. But anyway, nobody wants to hear about that.
Okay, sorry.
That's not what they hear. No, I love that you're so fascinated about it and interested in it because it really is fascinating. So I'm gonna take a step back. Okay. I mean, I know. Again, I've done my research. So your grandparents immigrated from China. You grew up Catholic in a predominantly Jewish neighborhood in
Yes.
Highland Park, Illinois,
Yes.
which by the way, right there, you need to pitch a show because that's a show I would watch. Like it just sounds
Aw.
awesome. And so by your own accounts, you said you were super shy. That you put all the energy you had into dancing because
Right.
you couldn't act or sing. That's what your words.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and then I read that like the summer you were 16, you worked as a dancer at Disney World. And I
Yes.
need to understand this. I mean, how do you become a dancer at Disney World at 16?
Well, Disney. I think Disney was having auditions, and they were looking around the country, and they needed some dancers to be dancing in front of the Magic Castle. And so they held auditions, and my mom took me, and I found out that I got it. So she came out to Orlando, Florida with me and stayed for the whole summer. It was so humid and so hot. I just remember sweating constantly. But that was my first job.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then the next summer I ended up doing a chorus line in that same way because they came through town and I auditioned. And funnily enough, I ended up getting my partner in when I was dancing in front of the Magic Castle. I ended up helping him get into a chorus line the following year after I joined. So that was kind of really a nice, full circle.
So and really for everybody in the chats, if you guys have questions for Lauren, please send them in. I can see them. I will get to them as best as I can. But I'm gonna keep this show on the track so we can, because listen, you have so much. You have so much. I do this I wouldn't say as a living anymore, but I do this a lot. And I can easily scroll through an IMDb page and a Wikipedia page and get a sense of the work. My God, it just scrolled and scrolled and scrolled. I was like, wow, you've done a lot. And I mean that in the best way possible. You have done so many incredible characters. So I kind of wanted to just touch on a few of the highlights for the audience, if
Sure.
that's all right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we talked about you at 16 and 17. You did chorus line. That's kind of, you ended up on Broadway. Leading from that. So I'm curious in that moment, before we go into the acting and before we go into all the other stuff, you're on Broadway. You're doing this chorus line. At that moment, do you remember if you saw yourself as like, okay, this is it. This is my future. I'm going to be a Broadway person. I'm going to be theatrical.
No, I always knew that it was going to be really tough for me to be a dancer on Broadway because normally they want chorus dancers and you need to be 5'6", and I am 5 feet. I am such a shrimp. So I just knew that was going to be a really uphill battle for me. So the best advice I got when I was doing chorus line, and they were all so much older than me, like 10 to 12 years older, that they kind of took me under their wing and said, look, if you don't study acting, you're going to be done by the time you're 35, because being a dancer is like being an athlete. So invest in yourself. Yeah. And start taking acting lessons. So I completely followed that advice. And then I realized that acting was so much easier than dancing because, it doesn't hurt your knees,
Sure.
It's just, and I really loved it. So then I started to transition. I finally got the courage to leave chorus line because it was hard, with a steady job like that. And my mind was so blown. Like I felt like, the heavens had opened up and then this gift dropped in my lap. So anyway, but then I transitioned into straight plays and at the Public Theater, and I started to do a little bit of TV and film, and then I moved to LA to pursue that visual medium.
The Hollywood dream, right?
Man, I feel like I've been crazy lucky, I mean,
I can tell you, but you've done. I mean, better. You've done a lot of work, and you've stayed, successful in working. So our first question, and I apologize, my questions are going to have a very nice, theme to them, and the audience questions are a bit random. So your first question is, pizza with or without pineapples?
Oh my gosh. You know what? I'm going to say that I just like to live a little wild sometimes. And I have a huge sweet tooth. So anytime anyone wants to put any sugar on anything, I'm down with it.
All right. Now I'm a native New Yorker, and I think I've lost a little respect for you. So I'm gonna give me a second. I'm gonna recoup. I'm gonna gain my wits about me, and I tease. Okay. So back to logical questions. So with 200 plus credits to your resume, with I don't want to date you here, but like you've got credits going all the way back to the 80s, let's say.
Oh yeah, like when you were introing me, I thought, damn, I'm old. You were like, you said 40 years, and I'm like, oh, that's true.
Yeah,
like you never really feel as old as you are, right? Like
I hope so.
Inside, I feel like I'm, still.
And you stay young with, I think, the characters that you play. It kind of keeps you young. It keeps you in that mindset. And it's also, I think, it's your personality. I love your personality. So now, okay. So with all that said, 40 years in the business, 200 plus roles under your belt. At this point, are you sick of talking about Julie and Friends? I gotta imagine so.
I don't think I want to use the word sick of it, because I'm always really touched when people come up and especially Asian people who say that's like one of the first times I've ever seen myself on screen.
Wow. Yeah.
That goes a long way with me, because it makes me feel like I'm actually doing something, like I'm actually contributing to society, because I don't know what else I would do if I wasn't, in the creative arts. I just have no aptitude for anything else. Like I break the Asian stereotype of being good at math and science, and I suck at that stuff. So I feel like, thank God there's a place for me.
Yeah, there's a playground for you. All right. So from Steve in the chats, how was it working with Billy Bob Thornton on Goliath? He says, I love you in it.
Oh, thank you so much. That's been one of my favorite jobs. And just to let you in on a little, little fun fact, Billy and I improv'd all of that dialogue together. Wow. And so what we did is they called us this. I'm talking specifically about my first episode where Billy Bob and I are escaping, and we're in Mexico and we've been kidnapped. And that's all you really need to know, is that we're trying to escape. So it's season 2, episode 7 is when I first come in. And Billy had all of the actors that were in that house, so the kidnappers and the kidnappees. We came to rehearsal for a week, and we just kind of played around with the basic premise of what was going to happen. And then we tried to work out all of the choreography, because there's knives and there's blood but it was just so much fun. It reminded me of my theater days. And Billy Bob is, well, everyone knows he's just so deeply talented. And I felt like I just learned from being with him and acting with him. I felt like he's so present and he gives you everything. So you don't really need to do anything other than look over there in his eyes. And then I'm just getting my performance off of him and vice versa. And it was really, truly one of my favorite jobs.
Wow. I had no idea. That's incredible. Thank you for the background. It's not the first time you work with Billy, right? Because you did Bad Santa as well. Yeah. And I'm sure that was a fun ride to be on.
It was a completely different role. I don't know what. So he told me that he wrote, he wrote Goliath with me in mind. And I was thinking, how would he know that I could do this ditzy, crazy character from having worked with me on Bad Santa, where I'm playing this, this really materialistic, kind of narcissistic woman with a thick Chinese accent, who, by the way, I based on my grandma. That was me paying tribute to her, because she just was so hilarious, and that's how she spoke. But anyway, I'm glad that he was able to make that leap, that I could do a character that was so opposite.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so back to some questions. So you're not sick of talking about Julie from Friends, I'm sure. Do you think, is that what you're most recognized for? Because you have so many credits. Is that the thing that people typically, associate you with?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would say yes. Like just when I'm out on the street and things like that. And it also gave my kids a little street cred when they started their new schools. But what always struck me as funny is that I've trained for decades, right, in acting and like studied the classics as well, and put like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this craft, and yet people really want to just know, what was it like to kiss David Schwimmer? It all sort of boils down to that question, and I'm like, it was fine, it was great, like he's a sweetheart, he's a good kisser, but I'm like, really?
Yeah. I've gotten to talk to a lot of actors and I mean directors and all types of people, but I find it fascinating that we as the audience, and I think I talked about this last week with my guest, that first thing is that we have this relationship with you, that it's a very one-way relationship, right? I feel like I know you because I watched you. Yeah. And obviously you don't know me, obviously. And so
I do now.
Well, now this is different. But then once we have this one-way relationship, and then we know you from this thing, it becomes like, I don't want to say like an obsession, but it becomes this thing that you're attached to. And I can imagine as an actor, that is hard because I'm sure the whole fun of being an actor is you get to play these different characters. You get to play all these different roles and highs and lows and goods and bads and then, but to be constantly like brought back to that one thing, and maybe it's not the thing that you're most proud of. Maybe it's not the thing that you were, most excited about, or that it's whatever connected with the audience. I mean, I guess it's a good thing that you connected, right, one way or another. But I can imagine that's a frustrating thing.
CQ. Yeah. I mean, in a way, I guess it's a blessing that, I wasn't like the Fonz in Happy Days, or it wasn't like so huge where it was completely indelible.
Right.
For me, it's at the level where it's just kind of nice when people acknowledge, and it probably happens maybe 3 times a week. But I used to date Michael McKean, who was, Lenny and Squiggy. I'm going way back, but people remember him so much from that show that literally every single day, multiple times a day, people would yell out, "Hey, Lenny," and that was annoying. I mean, and I would think that would be really hard if it was on that next level. Right. For me, I'm lucky where it's just kind of like a nice little pat on the shoulder.
You're memorable enough without being because I was just saying this, talking to somebody about this, and I'm like, if you're a Robin Williams or a Jim Carrey who like have these iconic catchphrases, and then it's just like people just running up to you and like yelling in your face this imagine that one line from Friends that people just whatever it is and like just yell at your face.
No, you're right. Hey, that would be kind of hard, I think. I mean, it comes with the territory. I mean, there's perks about being famous too, but like I feel like I started out as such a shy person, and I've come a long way since then. But ultimately, I'm still an introvert, So I think that would feel too intrusive for me, my daily life, if it were bigger than it is. Yeah. It's really manageable. It's just kind of lovely.
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice. And I mean, to have, at this point, Friends has been off the air for, my God, it feels like what, 15, 20 years, something like that. I mean, they just did the reunion, obviously. And I know there's a lot of whatever about who got invited to the reunion and who didn't. But I mean, it is what it is. It's about the main guys. That's all it's about, the supporting cast and whatnot. But aside from that, because I know you wrote this great essay kind of on your experience.
God, did you do your research? Jeez, honestly, I've never had an interviewer who dove so deep into it. I mean, like, everything about me, like as much as my mom. It's almost like so amazing.
I'm a fan, and I feel like it's my job to do the best I can to make you shine as you should. But yeah, you wrote this incredible essay, and it was because it's the kind of thing that you wrote, the kind of thing that a person like me wants to read, and that it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm in this moment, and like this is what I wanted to do, and you talk about how you kind of wished it into existence, which is incredible, and then you come off in this, because it's a story. I mean, it's an essay, it's an experience that you share. but you come off as this person like, I can't believe I'm here and I'm doing this thing, even though it's your job.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I'm still like that. I mean,
oh man, there's so much because, and I really, people, if you should look for it and find it. It's a great read, and it gives such a. You are so honest. Let me just say something. You are so honest in that essay, not just about yourself, but to something that could be, I don't know, seen as. It's not gossipy. It's not gossipy. That's not the word I'm looking for. But it's a real honest portrayal of like, I was with these people. I saw how they interacted. I saw the things they did and how you were us in that moment of going like, why are you doing this? Or why are you saying, how are you treating
Oh my gosh, I made so many mistakes. I was so nervous. And when I get that nervous, I say the stupidest things. And it's almost like I can't help it. It's like, can I get those words back? I did not mean that. It's almost like I lose all my brain cells because I'm too nervous. I have to just like calm down and breathe,
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I love it. I love it so much because it's exactly the kind of stuff that I'm like, that would be me. And that's why I think you connect so well with the audience, because it's like, yeah, that's how I would act. I'd be like, I'd try, calm down, relax, be cool, sound interesting, like say thing,
I mean, I don't even know why that happens to me all the time in my real life too. Like recently I was nervous with this guy I was meeting, and he said his birthday was on October 31st. And I said, oh, Halloween? Oh, does it fall on Halloween every year? Kill me now. Like, what is wrong with me?
That is awesome. This is what you need. You need a show. You need a show. You gotta do a show. This is great stuff. Now, something I took away from that is you talked about that you would get booed at the live tapings.
Yeah.
Is that, I mean, what is that as an experience? Is like, you're just this, I'm an actor. I'm doing my thing. And you get like, people took it like to heart. They took it serious. This is, you're a physical manifestation of everything they hate. Like, what does that feel like when you're just trying to do your job?
I'm not going to lie. It hurt because the audience was so invested in Rachel and Ross getting together that they could not. And that was the joke, right? That no matter how nice I was, that everyone would see me as a bitch because I was the other woman, right? So it had nothing to do with like who Julie was,
right? She was the best. I was
just determined to hate her.
She was the sweetest thing, man. Like, it is. You know what? You were too good for that group. That's what I think. Those are horrible people.
I'm going to share something too that really was so hard for me as well in that time, because I was contracted to do 7 episodes from the beginning, right? Mm-hmm. So they offered me the role because of the director had seen me in Joylet Club, and she thought, oh, that girl looks like she could portray someone really nice. They just wanted someone who seemed like a nice person. So anyway, I always knew that it would have a beginning, middle, and end, and I was going to have to be shoved off the show after those 7 episodes. But it's still, when it happened, it still felt like I was being kicked out of the, family. And what happened is, I think it was the National Enquirer, but I cannot find it anymore. Thank God. There was a front page article that said Friends actress fired because she was a bitch. And I'm like, no. That was the storyline. That was the storyline of the series. And it went on to say that, that Jennifer thought that I was like such a uppity diva actress. And I'm like, no, you guys, it was never planned out that way. And I remember calling my agent saying, should I get a lawyer? And he was like, no, like a picture's worth 1,000 words, just let it be, because you're not going to really, be able to correct that anyway. So, can you imagine?
That's horrible. That's horrible. So the last question I have in the Friends category is, I know that you were given a pair of sneakers with the words Friends second season embroidered on them. And I'm curious, you had the access. Was there anything else you might have snagged off set? Yeah, maybe something that you took with you, a memento, a memory of that time?
Wait, CJ, you're freaking me out right now. Did I write that in the essay?
I might have found.
How did you know I just didn't even remember that until you just said it right now.
So I guess you don't still have them then, huh?
No, I kept them for a long time, though. I kept them for at least 10 years, and I wore them all the time, and they got filthy dirty, and they just fell apart, and I finally had to throw them out.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Did I take anything else? No, I did not, but I'll tell you a fun little story from Bad Santa.
Please.
That movie took place in an abandoned department store, right? So in Torrance. And so it was, defunct. And so it was completely empty. And so the props and set dressing filled that entire space with tons and tons of merchandise. Okay. And it was just, we were filming right around Christmas, like a month before Christmas. And so I said to the director, Terry Zwigoff, I said, you know what? It's really fun to be here surrounded with all this stuff, but it's so hard for me because I actually loved shop. And he goes, you know what? He goes, come here. And I said, what? He goes, take whatever you want. And I was like, wait, what? Wait, what? And he goes, just take it from behind so nobody can tell. But literally, take whatever you want. No one's going to care or notice. And so I went a little berserk, and I was like taking orders from all the other cast members, like Tony Cox, who played my boyfriend, the little person. Mm-hmm. He wanted a bicycle. And so there I am. I took a bike, and I'm like going down the escalator with it, and I put it into the trunk of his car. Like I had the producer telling me what shoes he wanted in what size. And I was like very sneakily going around and just like pilfering everything. It's like I was my character in that movie.
Wow. That's
so
awesome.
Talk about swag. I mean, all of my family and friends got like the best presents that Christmas. I was taking everything. It was crazy.
Wow.
But nobody noticed.
That's awesome. I mean, there you go. One of the perks, guys. If you get into the acting craft, maybe you can steal things from set. Nobody will notice. So we got a question from Mike in the audience. He says, in Lauren's opinion, having done both voice acting and live action acting, what is harder? And what are some things that make each one harder than the other?
Oh, what a great question. It's Mike, right?
Mike.
So I guess there's not much that's hard about voice acting. I have to say the hardest thing about it is that you have to funnel all of your emotions and everything you want to communicate just through your voice. So when I'm actually recording, I will use my body fully. And like if anybody wants to like dabble with, think about like maybe becoming a voice actor, that's my advice, to act it out fully as if you're on camera, because your performance is going to be a lot fuller that way. And my friend D. Bradley Baker, Maria will know this because he's in Kids Next Door. He is one of the greatest human beings, and he created a website called I Wanna Be a Voice Actor. IWANNA, like that. And honestly, anything you could possibly want to know about how to get into the business, what to do, it's like an encyclopedia. It's so extensive. So just go on there and take a look at that. And but honestly, voice acting it literally will take me like 15 minutes to do a job sometimes because they can't get the whole cast together. Futurama always took forever because there's so many almost like stand-up comedians that they were be like improvising and just goofing around and like we did it more like a radio play, so we were all together. And I'm not complaining because I was laughing so hard the whole time, but it took us 4 hours because it was just trying to get through, because they also liked us to improv a little bit too, just to see if they we could make things a little bit funnier. And so I'd have to say that on-screen acting is way more challenging in that, the parts that I've had to play have been a lot deeper. And then you have to worry about what you look like and showing up visually, because it's 95% visual and, film and TV. And so the beauty of voice acting is that I've played, you know, a 5-year-old black boy. I've played like a 90-year-old Jewish woman. Like the stereotyping is kind of just blown out of the water, which is so refreshing. Although I have to say nowadays that's coming back a little, swinging back in the sense that they really want you to be who you are and not take jobs away from other people. And I get that. I get both sides of it really, because people of color, like my good friend Phil Lamar, who was Samurai Jack, is not Japanese, obviously, but he's a person of color. And so there is no way you're going to ever get me to diss him for taking that job. You know, like if all things were equal and people of color had as many opportunities as the Caucasian community, then I could see that more, like, you know, but I kind of feel like if I'm Chinese and I'm playing a Laotian character, I'll try to do as much, you know, research as I can. But, you know, I think it can be too politically correct. Sure. Okay. In that sense, like, let actors act. On the other hand, if I were producing something and I was casting, I would probably want someone to be as authentic to the character as possible. So I really do see both sides of it. Yeah. I just think actors should be able to act, you know.
Yeah, there's you know, I've done some stand-up comedy, and there's a lot of concern about, well, cancel culture, and if we don't allow people to express, you know, within certain, let's not get too crazy, but within certain boundaries, you know, I should be able to say a joke, and understanding that as a comedian, it's a joke. It's not to be taken seriously. And I agree with you wholeheartedly in that, seeing the line, because, you know, when you're voicing a character, you know, and as long as you're not, in my opinion, if you're not mocking, or you're not doing stereotypical, and you're trying to bring authenticity to the character, it shouldn't matter who you are. You know, when it becomes the visual medium, and you say, you know, not knocking anybody, but let's say there was, you know, a lot of heat on Scarlett Johansson when she did what was it, Ghost in the Shell, and it was a very whitewashed version of a character that was, I mean, for all intents and purposes, a very very Japanese, Asian, you know, like it's not a good look. So yeah, I agree with you. There's not it's not an easy answer for it. And I do feel for especially people in the voice acting community, because like you said, like maybe I'm not known for all these characters, I'm not instantly recognizable. But if you've made a career of that and doing the best you can, and these, you know, I think of Apu from The Simpsons, you know, who is a beloved character, but then it's like, it's a white guy doing the voice, and now it becomes this outcry for how dare you. And it's like, I don't know. It's not an easy, there's no easy answer for this.
There is no easy answer. I felt like, you know, I understood why he stepped down, and it's like different times too, you know, when he first started doing that job, our culture was much different. I didn't really think he needed to apologize. Right. But I understood why he stepped down.
Sure. You know? Yeah. And you want to do the right thing. And, you know, I'm sure there's other opportunities, and it opens up opportunities for other people. And that's awesome. I'm all about inclusivity and making sure everyone has a seat at the table. I think is a great thing. And yeah, we learn and we grow, right? That's as a country, that's the idea, is it shouldn't be about canceling people. It should be about learning and realizing and growing and
boy,
being better.
I would sure love it if people, folks on social media, would just dial it down a few notches. You know, it's kind of like, as someone in the public eye, like, I feel like you know, sometimes I feel like I can't win if you know, you have to just stand where you are and what you believe in. But like, to cancel someone because, you know, they don't agree with you, I just wish we could all be a little less judgmental. Yeah. And, you know,
Agreed. Agreed. So moving on to other things, I'm curious. So you know, you've played many, let's call them one-off characters. You know, they make a cameo, guest appearance, and you've played a lot of, you know, established, you know, besides just Julie on Friends, you know, where you're main character, main cast, whatever you want to call it. When you hear the term character actor, like, what does that mean to you?
Oh, that always means that those are the working actors who usually get the really interesting parts. Because I've never been associated with the ingenue, because I just was just being a person of color and then being so tiny, like that wasn't my path. But I think that because that forced me more into being a character actor, I feel like that's why I work so much. And I also am not going to have as big of a transition into letting go of beauty or anything like that.
Right.
I mean, I don't, it's hard to get older, and watch yourself age on camera. It's like, wow, is that me? I couldn't, oh my God, it's really difficult. And, but at the same time, I feel like, what's the alternative? Like I'm working and I can keep going. And I actually embraced that I was able to be, a character actor. I always find that they usually have so much going on. They're quirkier, they're darker, they're funny. So, because sometimes I think the romantic leads can be a little bit boring. I'd rather have like a stronger color and be a spice rather than just be a little bit more bland, but be in it.
Because I think traditionally, and you're the actor, so you tell me, but traditionally, a character who is he's a main character, he's one of the main cast, in a season, they'll have something of a slight character arc. But as someone who's going to appear once or twice, you like to make an impression, you really have to have that major, all that condensed into a couple scenes. You have to go, I think of like a show like House MD, where, the cast, changed very little but that one guy comes in, my appendix is exploding and he's dying and he's gonna do all these crazy things. And then at the end, he's like, all right, cool, I'm great. And just walk out and do your thing. So that's a lot of acting, like a spectrum of acting.
Are the people you remember. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
They're memorable.
So I totally get it. And I think, if I were to ever be an actor, I that's what I think I would like to be, because everybody thinks, oh, I'd love to have that, be the main guy and make all the millions of dollars and this and that. But so many of these guys do get typecast too. You look at the guys from Friends, and a lot of them are hard to break out of those roles because they're so instantly recognizable, and so we're so attached to them in that role. So,
that was such a massive show too,
Yeah. So I definitely think that, you get to play the more fun characters. I think that's just so cool with it.
And I also think there's a longer shelf life too, because I can be in my 80s, still be a character actor, but I certainly couldn't be, even in my 50s, I couldn't be the ingenue anymore. 40s, not so much. Like Hollywood's really into youth and beauty.
I mean, yeah, unfortunately. I mean, you get those few, your Meryl Streeps and your, the people that can bring it, I mean, my God, what's it? Clint Eastwood, my God, he's 189, I think, and he's still coming, like they reanimate him for movies. I don't know how he does it. But he's getting it done.
That's a little creepy when they do that. Like that guy in Star Wars, that guy Peter.
Oh yeah,
that was a little creepy,
the
right?
CGI stuff,
but it was kind of amazing.
Yeah, bringing people back from the dead. That's a little uncomfortable.
I don't even know if they're going to need actors anymore one day. Honestly, they can duplicate our voices, everything. So I just I feel like at least I'm born in the right time.
What is it? Like, the workers always say, like, oh, robots are going to replace us. And the actors are, CGI is going to replace us. Everybody's being replaced by robots and computers.
That's right.
So okay. So you've gotten to you've done the acting stuff. You've done the theater stuff, the chorus line stuff. And now, kind of coming off Friends, you do this role, like your first voice acting role is with Superman, the cartoon Superman, which is classic. Everybody loves it. You played Angela Chen, which
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, was that before King of the Hill?
That was before.
King of the Hill was my first one.
Yeah.
You know more than me.
Based on IMDb, it says your first
okay.
animated series,
Maybe
Superman, the
no
animated
more.
series. Angela Chen. So I was curious, how did that come about? How did the shift from exclusively in front of the camera
You know
to
what?
the voice stuff?
You're jogging my memory. That is correct, CQ. Because Andrea Romano, who is like one of the greatest voice directors on the planet, she loved me in Friends. So that's why they called my agent to be Batman's girlfriend in that show. Because, she was supposed to be Asian and girlfriend. So maybe they were just thinking along the same lines. And boy, did they drew me really cute too.
Yeah. You're talking
So
about Dana in Batman
Dana.
Beyond. Yep.
Oh, no. You're talking about, okay, so it wasn't Dana, it was Angela? Was it
Angela Chen.
She was a reporter,
News
right?
reporter in Superman the series. That's right. I know it's for those at home.
Batman Beyond.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with age. This has to do with the fact that she's voiced like 600 characters, and it just has such an extensive career. So
Anyway,
because you've done Superman, you've done Batman. You've done so many characters.
right.
So it was just, I guess, the coming out of the Friends, they loved your voice, and so they reached out to you with the opportunity, and you thought, what the hell, make a paycheck?
Yeah, let me try it. I had no idea how to do it, and I learned on the job. I learned from some of the greats. I learned so much from Pamela Adlon, who was playing Bobby in King of the Hill.
Mm-hmm.
I would just watch her and create all these voices right in front of us. And because Bobby is a 12-year-old boy, and here she is, this woman, and so that I just feel so grateful that I fell into the voice acting, because on one hand, like I sometimes would get nervous that maybe I put too much focus on it, and perhaps I could have gotten a little further in my on-camera career if I hadn't put all my eggs in that basket, but at the same time, like I raised two boys, like I all through, you know what I mean? Like I was literally, I've told this story before, but I was like working up to the time my water broke, like I was working when I was breastfeeding. Like I had the baby in my arms and I was saying the lines. So there isn't a lot that keeps you from being able to record.
Yeah.
And you can look however you want. You can go, in your sweatpants and like one time I was joking that it takes so little time sometimes. Like if you've only got one or two lines in the whole episode, you're in and out of there in 5 minutes. So then I started to figure out, like, how much did I just make per word? Because I only said one sentence,
Hey.
So
you're paid to be there, regardless of how much you got to talk.
That's right. And so anyway, I feel blessed in that way. But there's always good and bad with just like anything in life. I mean, it got me through those real sparse times, when we remember in 2007 when we had the writer strike and all of that and everything was shut down. I was just that little train that kept chugging along with my voice acting jobs. But then, sometimes I feel like, oh dear, like that I'm introduced see, you're different because you have really researched like the body of my work, but there have been times when I've been only, like called just a voiceover actress, and folks don't really know that I've done other things, and that's kind of like, that's not so great, but it is what it is,
Yeah. Well, it's also being recognized as just Julie, instead of the massive body of work that you've done, both voice and other, and you've done video games, you've done character, I mean, like I just can't wrap my head around, and I'm sure you're going to say it's just luck, but you're involved in these projects that have incredible shelf lives. King of the Hill ran forever. And by the way, side note, I heard that they're maybe talking about bringing it back. I mean, anything? Have you heard anything? You maybe.
They've been trying for years, CQ. I don't think that I don't think
You
that's
don't
going
think
to happen.
so? You don't think so?
No, I wish.
With everything being rebooted and resequeled and followed up
I think
on,
it'd be smart. I think it'd be a great idea,
I'd
but I
I'd
don't
love
think. I think I would have heard.
Okay.
Anyway, I would probably have to lie to you anyway, though, because I'm not. You're not really allowed to talk about that
Right.
until it's publicly announced.
Of course.
But I think I can safely say that one's not happening. But there are other things that are happening that I can't talk about.
Yes. Hey, as
And
long
we'll just leave that there.
Yeah, as long as there's things that you can't talk about, I'm happy. Other people might like that. To me, I'm a Marvel fan. I'm all these things. Like, I know when you say I can't talk about something, that just means awesome things are happening. Awesome things are happening, and I'm excited and I'm happy.
I know there's a fan base that's going to be excited for one of the things. Yeah,
Get me excited again. So I was saying, you're part of these massive franchises. King of the Hill. I mean, Batman. You put Batman's name on anything, it's massive success. Futurama, which ran for so long, then went away, then came back, then went away, then came back for so long, and and then obviously the Teen Titans and the Teen Titans Go, and all these just massive. Do you ever just sit down and think about like you are a part of pop culture significance, kind of no matter which way you look, that's. I don't know. Some people are blessed in a lifetime to get that one role. And the way I look at it is you've been a part of these just massive in pop culture, and people know King of the Hill, people know Futurama. These are not things that, the late, if I shoot some anime that nobody really knows about, these are mainstream popular things. I mean, what do you think? When you just sit back and kind of look back at your work and how it's going to be remembered forever.
You're just making me feel like $1,000, mister.
I'm doing my job, man. I'm doing my job.
No, you are doing your job. I mean, I'm so glad that, I didn't know I was going to get so much more out of this than I was going to end up giving. I mean, super, very, very, very sweet of you to say all that, because I'm not really aware of it. And I get blue just like everyone does, and it's hard to focus on and look back and go, hey, you know what, I've done some stuff, and until you hear it from someone like you. But I just go back to, again, just feeling like you're making me feel like I have contributed something.
Oh, absolutely.
And I was brought up that I was supposed to. Well, I came from such a traditional Asian family that my job was, I was supposed to just be a dental hygienist and get married and have lots of boys, and I'm so grateful to my mom for supporting me into going into being an artist. And I would really encourage anyone that's Asian out there listening that happens to be a parent to let your kids try, because what if they don't have any aptitude in those other areas, and I never wanted to be a dental hygienist, and I actually didn't think I wanted to have kids either. And then when I got closer to that biological clock ticking, I thought, oh, maybe I do. And then as it turns out, I actually did end up having two sons. So my dad would have been really happy about that.
Right.
But that was kind of out of my control. But anyway, I just feel like, I've been super blessed, I feel like, with just, just like everyone, I've had lots of challenges and sadness, and I feel like all we can do is just remember that we belong to each other, and to try our best to just be there for one another when we can, because that's all I want to be remembered for, and I'm sure that most people feel the same. When you really boil everything down to looking back on your life, my older son was asking me about that. Mom, do you think I should try to go in the private sector and be a lawyer and try to make a lot of money, or I should go in the public sector and try to just change policy and help people more? And I said, oh, that's an easy answer from my point of view. He said, you're always going to find a lot more happiness when you feel like you've made a difference in someone's life. Not that you couldn't if you were in the private sector, and because lawyers who are doing that are still helping people. Yeah. It's just that, when you find a cause that you really believe in, just get behind that and push, and you'll see how much the universe like rushes in to help you. Like
Yeah.
I can't even describe how generous and kind the fan bases are that I have from some of my shows that have helped me raise $10,000 pretty much every year for the past decade for Homeboy. So it's like, that's all from the fans.
That's
You
awesome.
know, like
Yeah.
Supernatural is just got the most gigantic fandom on the planet, and Futurama, and I'm finding also Ghost of Tsushima, super kind-hearted cast that I got to work with, and they've all helped me, sign things, and we're selling things, and it's so much fun.
Absolutely.
Ghost of Tsushima was a real gift to me too. That was like a, I feel like it kind of keeps me young with the like current with the
Yeah.
younger.
Oh,
crowd,
definitely.
too.
You're on the pulse. You're on the, because okay, so we named we named all those shows that, okay, you say, well, they're not really around anymore, but you just did 2 episodes of Rick and Morty, right? You were the
Oh,
little
yeah.
anime character in Rick and Morty, which is the hottest cartoon out there right now. You did Ghost of Tsushima. I cannot pronounce that name. I'm
I know,
terrible at that. That is a hard one, man. They could have made it a little bit. We're gonna call it Ghost. You were in Ghost, which was, I mean, a like crazy big blockbuster that sold ridiculous amounts. So I mean, as much amazing things you've done in the past, you absolutely are still. It's not like you're not. Like, I always feel like we talk so much about your career that like, oh, you're not like. It's not like a has. This isn't. Oh, this was your life, and it's like you're still doing incredible things. And like you said, there's things we can't talk about that are coming.
I'm trying.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And you mentioned your kids, so I am curious, like, growing up, like, were they aware of like where you were in pop culture and like and how other people were viewing you and like how popular you are with other people, and they know that?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. They did, and it sort of like had its good side and its bad side, because like they felt like they felt proud of me, at school when kids would find out, and it always happened really quickly too, which is surprising to me. But the downside is that they just didn't want to be like they want to be finding out who they are and like gaining their own merits based on who they are, and so they've been kind of like real aware of keeping that separate. Like, for example, like, are you talking to me right now just because my mom was on Friends, or are you really interested in like having a conversation with me?
Yeah.
So that actually was a conversation I just had with them last year or two, because I've never asked them that, but they're older now, so we can have conversations like that. Because I was just wondering, it never really occurred to me, because honestly, CQ, I never think of myself as someone that's even in the public eye.
Right.
I just think of myself as this girl from Highland Park, Illinois, who's still that shy girl that can't, that can't string a sentence together sometimes. So it's always a little bit like startling for me to hear that people see me in a different light.
Yeah, of course. I bet. I was gonna make it about me, but then I'm like, wait a minute, it's not about me.
You can make it about you.
No, people are tired of hearing me talk about me. Steve in the chat says that Sweet Pecan Summer was a very neat movie. I watched it when I saw you were in it. Your chemistry with Christine Coe was great. Are more Hallmark movies in the realm of possibility? Is this something that we might see more of?
Oh, thank you so much. His name was Steve. Thank you so much for your supportive comments. I had so much fun shooting that. And if I have any say in it, I'd love to work for Hallmark again. It was a wonderful experience, and I'm feeling optimistic because one of the network executives wrote, welcome to the Hallmark family. So that's a good sign.
Definitely a good sign.
And then our director texted me, Christine, and Wes Brown that that Pecan movie was the highest rated summer movie in the history of Hallmark. So, what was so great about that? It's also the first movie that's ever starred people of color.
Wow.
So, I mean, that to me, hopefully will show Hallmark that they're definitely heading in the right direction. That people want things to be more inclusive and to be able to see themselves on screen. Like, let's I just went to the Star Trek 55th anniversary, and I was blown away by just sitting and watching the panels of all these characters now that are, wow, was that franchise ever being inclusive with transgender characters and gay characters kissing on screen and like all kinds of every color you can think of. I mean, so smart on their part.
Yeah, the original Star Trek had the first interracial kiss ever filmed on TV, and so
that's right. So they've always been like that.
They've been pushing boundaries for a long, long time, and I think that's what sci-fi is really good at, because you get to hold up a mirror to the world, the community, but have this kind of almost this blanket of like, but it's not real, it's fake. But we really are. I look at like the X-Men in comic books, where it was the writer's way of saying, these outcasts, these people that that LGBTQ community that's being infringed upon, or the emotion of being a minority. It was like it was a reflection of the world at that time, and so we can use sci-fi, we can use superheroes to tackle these really tough subjects without it being too real, and because people won't accept it if it's too real.
True. But also, it's life is weird. I mean, you know what I mean?
That is true too.
There's some things in real life that seem way stranger.
Yeah, that did. And we're coming up time, and I do want to be very respectful of your time. And there's so much more we could have talked about, because I know you did a one-woman show called 25 Psychics, which was it premiered at the HBO US Comedy Arts Festival in Aspen and received the Drama Log Award for Best Performance, Best Direction. So I just wanted to, no question, I just want people to know that. I think it's outstanding that you did that, a one-woman show, and how well it was received. So I'm sure that was an incredible experience for you.
It was really, really something to do. It was cathartic, actually.
I can imagine. Yeah. So lastly, as we wrap up here, what one more plug to guys, check out the link that's in the chats to support Homeboy Industries. Like I said, one last time, I will send out a gift to the highest donation of the night. Send me proof that then I can send you guys a prize. I know I'm going to contribute because I want an awesome autograph thing that I can put in
Thank you so much.
My collection.
And no donation's too small. If you want to give $5, that is also welcome.
Absolutely.
Because it's wonderful to feel part of something that's bigger than yourself.
Absolutely. Is there anything coming up that you would like to promote or like to make sure people check out?
Oh gosh, you know what? The things that I have coming out, I can't talk about any of them. Oh wait, I can talk about one of them. Season 4 of Young Justice is coming out.
I love Young Justice.
Do you remember that show?
I love Young Justice. It's an incredible show.
Yeah, I play a character called 13. And I'm forgetting the date now. Darn it! It's either in October or November. I can't remember, but it's.
You have too many projects. It's hard to keep them all straight. Let me tell you.
But I have some fun things coming up that I'll be able to post about on social media in just a couple months.
And with that, where can people follow you? Where can people follow you? Where can they support you and keep up to date?
Thank you. I'm on Laruen Tom 9000 on Twitter and Instagram. It's the same. I'm not really on Facebook. Uh-oh. That was weird. What just happened?
Yeah, I still got you. You're good. You're good on our end.
Okay, good.
But there you go, guys. Make sure you follow Laruen Tom 9000 on all the social medias that matter. And I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for you being here tonight. This was so much fun. Like I said, we could have talked for hours. I think you're an incredible woman and such an incredible career and the things. And as a kid who grew up in the 90s and watched a lot of these shows, thank you for voicing some of my favorite characters. Everybody in the chats loves you so much, and thanks you. I'll give you a second here to say goodbye to the audience, and then we'll toss it to break.
Oh, okay. Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate all the support, and I wish you all well. Stay healthy and hug someone that you love.
Outstanding. All right, guys, we're going to go to a short break. I'm going to go say goodbye to Lauren, and then we'll do a little bit more show after this. See you at the break.